Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
good. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good.
Where did you get the t-shirt from? Did you buy it or?
No, I'm not sure where I got this. I think it might have been part of when the company went public, or they
Oh,
rebranded around the same time. They sent out new shirts to everyone because we all
mm,
had like the old logo. Yeah, just looking at the voting results,
mm,
and yeah, we'll give it an extra minute to see if anyone else arrives.
mhm.
All right, I think this is probably going to be all of us. Um,
Mm.
yeah, so there's only one item on the agenda, which is from Thomas. Is there any volunteer for doing the admin work for the next meeting? Um, and he said he'll document the steps. Um,
Guess it's just the last one that. Oh, actually, I guess that's already done.
yeah, true. Let me just add like an agenda section for us. Um,
I guess
yeah, it
that.
looks like
Yeah.
Lena did Lena did it this time.
Yeah.
So I suppose he's asking for next month. Yeah. Um, I'll put my hand up if no one else jumps in.
Oh, I see. I see. I thought this was from like the last one asking for this.
Mhm. So I'll just tag Thomas in a comment. Yeah, it is a little bit confusing, but yeah, the I think Thomas did some of the admin this time, just
Mm-hmm.
not the vote counting. But for next time he'll be fully away.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Cool, cool.
And yeah, the voting results were kind of interesting. The top one was this spike to create an extension development kit,
Mm-hmm.
which yeah, I think is a great idea. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
that'll
it
be
would be awesome.
useful.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for
I think I
sure.
always go back and forth. It's like, why is it not triggering? And then something happened in the language server. I'm like, oh, oh, I
Yeah,
thought it was some code issue, not like I don't know, some just script issue or whatever.
yeah, yeah, it would be pretty nice. And I wonder if that relates to one of the other ones, which is like a monorepo spike. So that one got 2 votes, moving to a monorepo, which includes the language server. I mean, kind of related.
So, oh, I see. Mm-hmm.
Um, but not compulsory. Like if you had, you could easily have an extension development kit and have sort of separate repos. But it probably would make it easier, especially to integrate into the GDK
Mm-hmm.
because that is kind of expected to be like a one-time thing. Like you run it once, you get the repo
Mm-hmm.
initialized and like the whole monolith and
Mm-hmm.
the sub modules, and then you can just like straight up develop. Whereas
Mm.
if we kept our repos all separate, um,
Yeah.
you would probably have to feed that into the tool with like variables or whatever, like we sort of currently do.
Mm-hmm.
Not a big not a big deal, but just
Yeah,
makes it a
another
little bit more usable.
thing I find with like GDK, since I mean the team doesn't work with GDK as much, when I get to use it,
Hmm.
I'm getting all these updates and trying to
Yeah,
like fix
yeah,
the issue. I'm like, oh, I don't. There's a lot for just trying to test something like quickly.
yeah. Um,
Mm-hmm.
on that topic, I was actually thinking about doing a session on the GDK for people who've come in as
Mm-hmm.
TypeScript and like Kotlin developers. Um,
Yeah.
so maybe I'll make a note to do that. Um,
Mm. That would be great. I think only thing I really know about it is just how to run it locally, following the steps, not
yeah,
into like much details.
yeah, yeah. There's a few tricks.
Hmm.
Like even just things like knowing what the minimum steps are when you change a
Hmm.
branch and things like that. That could be nice. So yeah, that's probably useful to do. Um,
Hmm.
especially if we're thinking of moving towards the GDK type thing. Um, then it would be nice to like see what it currently provides. Might give
Hmm.
us some inspiration for the extensions. Um, then the next highest two were automate releases and CI, which I assume that's for the VS Code extension, it looks like specifically. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think there is also maybe an issue for the language server. Um
Hmm. That'll be that'll be useful because it's also like manual, right? Language server. I remember from the
yeah,
walkthrough. Yeah.
yeah, it is. Yeah. And then the next sort of
Hmm.
even with 4 votes is document all language server customized messages using a schema. Um
Hmm.
yeah, that would be good to do. Um especially as we open it up to more and more
Mm-hmm.
extensions.
Yep.
Because currently we just document it in like a big README doc,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of loosely, it's like loosely structured and maintained. I think there's been cases where we added a message to the language server, but we didn't add it to that doc, for instance. Yeah, so having something structured would definitely be nice. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I like that one.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and then there's one at three votes, which is investigate automated schema validation for the GraphQL queries. Yeah, I think there's actually various issues floating around for this. But
With the scheme, the GraphQL schema?
yeah, yeah,
Oh.
because I know it's come up before, but yeah, I'm not sure exactly what's different on this issue, but the general idea is that we have we make GraphQL queries in the extension and
Mm-hmm.
extensions in the language server. But GraphQL is quite picky about,
Mm-hmm.
so like if you request a field that doesn't exist, it will throw you back like an error. It won't even give you like partial data or anything, so it's quite bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the versioning issue where the extension could be run against older instances that might be lacking certain fields or have extra fields or different formats. So yeah, some sort of automated check would be really nice. And we actually do schema validation for um, the telemetry query,
Mm-hmm.
but that's like locked to a specific version, um, which is only possible because there is like, I believe, a central telemetry server.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, I don't think the instances gather their own telemetry, but for instances with GraphQL APIs, like we would need something different
Mm-hmm.
to be able to test against that. But yeah, it would be nice. Um, One thought I had was if we
Mm-hmm.
could have like similar to the way we do it with the template, sorry, with the telemetry, is we have the JSON schema that we um, get from the actual server. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like actually baked into the code, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we had some of those in like a test folder and we
Mm-hmm.
injected those into the app and then ran the end-to-end tests
Mm-hmm.
and then have the end-to-end tests like fail if or even just have the actual API call fail if it fails schema validation, which
Mm-hmm.
actually does, that is how telemetry works as well, I believe. Um, then that failure would fail some tests and then we could pick that up and it shouldn't be too hard to like have separate jobs for each version that we want to test against, basically. So then I think we would just go back and do one run against each um, major version or minor version that we've released. So like all the way back to the oldest supported version. So yeah, that would be an idea. Um, but yeah, I think it would be quite good to have something like that.
Mm-hmm. Just try to see how is it managed now between different GitLab instances version? Like if you make a GraphQL schema updates and
Um,
then the do we keep track of yeah, I'm just trying to
yeah,
imagine. Yeah.
so we have a bit of code that does version checks,
Mm-hmm.
and then in we can use that in the code. So like in I think VS Code extension and language server both have utilities for this where you can
Mm-hmm.
query the version, and then if the instance is like say there's like a util that lets you like
Mm-hmm.
give it a minimum version for a function, and then it will run that function if the version check comes back successfully,
Mm.
and it matches that version. So you can have branch and code, and we do that in a few places. Like for instance, when we removed the slash clear command or clean, actually forget which one we removed. Um, it was we removed clean and we kept clear. So there's a little bit of code that because the server response is different depending on if the instance is like later than when we removed clean or
Mm-hmm.
before when we removed clean. There's a bit of code in the extension that handles that
Yeah.
special case. So and yeah, the annoying thing though is that it requires a GraphQL query to get the version, but you can't
Mm-hmm.
do it in the same query as your query with like the missing fields.
Mm-hmm.
So in some cases, you're going to have like a double query where it like queries the instance, then queries the um makes the query depending on what fields are available. Yeah, and then it's also complicated in the VS Code extension because you can have multiple accounts. Um,
Mm-hmm.
this is like a real nightmare scenario that we probably want to drop support for, but
Mm-hmm.
you could add two accounts to VS Code,
Yeah.
and you could have a workspace that has two repos, and each repo could have its own account and point to a different GitLab instance with a different
Mm-hmm.
version.
Oof.
Um, yeah. So then you have things like Duo Chat, which doesn't operate on a repo basis. Like it's kind of global, right? It's just in the main sidebar.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're chatting, like which GitLab instance should you be sending to and which
Yeah.
version is it and stuff. So it gets really complicated.
Yeah, sounds tough.
Yeah, we have all sorts of bugs in there. Um, yeah. But actually on that topic, I was sort of thinking that a good
Mhm.
issue, I don't know if it's tech debt, maybe. It's kind of like an engineering feature where we could have a service that maintains like the list of instances and what versions they are. Um, so you could just query that service, like maybe it's a knowledge
Mhm.
server. And then you don't have to like do a query and cache it yourself in like each different place that needs the version.
Mhm.
Um,
Is there an issue already or?
no, I don't think there is. Because yeah, the thing kind of is like
Mm-hmm.
as we add more features to the extension, we're going to need more and more of these checks. And um, yeah, we don't really remove them. Like it's been a long time since we updated the minimum supported GitLab version. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So some service for developer for GitLab, checking GitLab instances or listing, I guess.
It would ideally do the check as well and then cache the result. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Since we updated the min supported version. Yeah, I just wonder if we should
Mm-hmm.
maybe think about updating that at some point. That might reduce some of the maintenance burden a little bit.
Is it a lot right now to considering to support like very old version? Is it like a blocker?
Um,
Just
not
curious how
sure.
much. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think we really keep track of it, but um, our telemetry would tell us what versions people are running, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. Anyway, that's probably enough for me rambling about stuff. Is there anything
Good.
you wanted to add?
No, I think we covered a couple of the issues that was voted. So yeah, good to see more votes this time.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Well,
think we're good.
good
Mm-hmm.
to chat. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. See ya.
Cool. See ya. Bye.